Okay, so what I have right now is a file for the reference setup for foot modeling. And then I have another Maya open, which is the deblocking of the head and the body. So what I will do first is this. I'll go to File and I'll choose Save Scene As, and I'll paste my location. So just up one folder. So in the modeling, I'll just name this. Let's say I'll name this. This is going to be the foot base. Okay, so I'll name this as the foot base file. So that means I'll be deleting all of these here. I don't also need these references and cameras. And then I also don't need the polygons, or most of the polygons here, but just the foot, 1 foot of it. Shift Control I, delete, and then I'll save. I'll go to my tools preset. I'll choose W for move tool, and then I'll choose reset the tool, so it is there. So what I'll do is I'll put it on 0 on the x-axis, 0 on the z-axis, and then I'll just press D and put 0 on the y-axis so that it is at the center of 3D space. I'll press D to activate it, and there. So now I will save this file, the foot base, and then I already have saved this reference file, so I'll just close this. Oops, saving any changes. And then the next thing is I will just go to File, I'll choose Import, I'll paste the location there. So what I'll do is I'll just go to the foot reference setup. There it is. Import. And now what I have here is the references of the foot. So I'll just press spacebar, and then I'll choose Panels Orthographic Back if it's not yet appearing. There, so it appears now. Okay, so the rest of them will appear, and they are also on the list here. So what I will do is I can press R and I can do some scaling to rescale this and fit my object. Since my object is already the scale or the size of my character. So from here, if I can see it there, so I'll just look at it now. F, there it is, F. So far it's fitting nicely, but let's do a little for the side. So let's say the knuckles, up knuckles, and the palm side, foot, and then I'll just drag it forward a little bit. There, saving the work. So let's say that is going to be, wait, let me just relocate it a bit more. Yeah. Let's say this is going to be my foot base file now. Okay, so the next thing to do is I will now model the toes mainly. Okay, so I need the modeling of the toes here. So because this is actually the footing of the character, but let me just fit it a little bit more. I guess I need to fit this a little bit more on the side views. So the side there, and then I'll just press R and then scale it a little bit there onto the side view so that it fits in very well. W for move, dragging it a little bit there to scale up my character on the side views, I mean, just to fit the reference further. Okay, so this is appearing fine. Saving the work. So there, I selected both, both the side views. So even if I now switch to the panels, orthographic, and let's say the left, there, so it is also fitting. Okay, so let's go to our object there. So right now, what I will do here is to straighten some of the vertices. So I want to select these edges or vertices here, and then I'll press R and scale it to straighten it up. If I look at the perspective there, it is a straight line now. These. And then the next thing is I will go to the next set of vertices that is here, and then I'll just set it straight once more like that. Okay, the next thing is I will select all of these, W for move, and then I can carefully straighten it like this. But a better way can be this. Okay, one better way of doing this is I can select these sides here. I can press R and get straight. I can do the same thing here, but I need to make sure that the top and the bottom vertices have been selected, and then scale. So the scale, it can also be a great straightening tool. I'll just make it see through there. Okay. Next, I'll just select these, and straighten them. Okay, so the next thing is I'll select this, the top portion, and then straighten them flat. Okay, I'm straightening this for a reason. Later you'll find out, or you'll see there, because these are where the toes are going to be coming out. That's why I have to reset straighten their alignments, or the vertices alignments there. Then I'll just select these, carefully drag and drag and drag there, and then this there, careful, spacebar, this. Okay, now I'll hide the other polygons. Let's hide this, these parts, those, and then I can press Ctrl H. So now the polygons are hidden, and now what we have is here. Oops, I think I have an aligned polygon here. I'll just select that, R, and scale it there. Okay, so the next thing is, initially we have really 3 fingers or 3 toes to start with. Okay, so that's how you start when you're modeling foot. So I'll just select this, squeeze it in further, right? Space bar, W for move, carefully push this in, have this there, and also this one here. So that's going to be for the 3 initial fingers, right? So next is I'll be doing something like this. So let me bring out Shift H, the other polygons of the foot there, and then what I'll do is I will create an angle here at this side, and then I'll hold Shift, create another here on this side, and then let's control this like this. Okay, So now we have this two here. The next thing is I'll press R and scale this outwards. There, okay? So after I scale that outwards, I'll scale it in accordance to the length of the fingers, or the toes, I mean. And then I'll just shift click drag, Control H and hide. So there it is. There. So this would mean this is going to be where these these toes are coming. So what I'll do is I'll start to select them, do another, and then do another extrude. I'll just pull it out like that. So this is going to be where the toes are coming. Press Q, exit, and then I'll just go here at the top, select there. Press R, then scale. W, move it a little bit backward. Okay, and then this R, I'll just scale it in a bit. Let's say there. Okay. And then deselect the rest. And I'll drag down. Yeah, that's how those fingers are going to be. Next, I'll just select the edges to widen. I'll just widen this up. And then I'll just select this and widen it further a bit. Okay, next, on the other part here, so I need to push this a little there. Excuse me. And then I need to push this one also, this one. W and move. There. So that is it for that. Then it's time to bring out those toes. Sorry. Before we bring out the toes, let's first arrange these. I'll just drag this a little bit. So as you can see, the shaping out of the toes also depends on the height, or the arrangement of the height of these polygons here. Alright. There. And then here also, I'll just drag it down a bit. There. Saving my work. So now the next thing to happen is I'll just be extruding out, for example, this one first. I will extrude out first the toe thumb. Yeah, just narrow that a bit more. So I'll just press W and then I'll do a shift click drag. There it is. Okay. Vertices, dragging down. And then I'll do another extrude. So this one will R to scale and scale along that part. Raise it up a bit more. Shift click drag. Vertices down. There. Saving work. So far, that's looking like it. Okay, polygon selection. Dragging it forward. Now this time I'll drag this down. And then one last more. Shift click drag. Then I'll go for my vertices here. There. So just following up or following the references silhouette as much as possible, and then I'll just select these and drag down there, and then I will just this time the foot. So at the front I can switch to a 2-view layout there. My 2-view layout is still active. So what I can do is I can select these there. So it is that narrow. So let's narrow that a bit. Okay. And then this side here, let's widen that a bit. And then I guess this side here also narrows down a bit more. And then a bit more narrowing. And then here, this one also narrows even further. There. So the next thing is I can now select the polygons at the top, polygons at the bottom, and scaling them in there. See? So there's the roundness of that, but not too round, a lot more proper. And then edge, I'll select this loop, deselect what's below, drag up that portion. So that's a bit more fitting there for the form. I'll drag down a bit more there. So that's for the nails. Okay, so I think we're good on that. That looks fine already. So I'm okay with this so far. So the next thing is I'll just adjust these edges here a little bit, following the contour of the reference also. Okay, saving that. And now all I need to do is just like what we did earlier with the fingers. I can select these, I can edit mesh, and I can go duplicate, Q, W, object selection. Now I have this. So what I can do is, as usual, I can use the reset all, saving work. Now I can move this here. Yep. Wait, let's delete this extra one here because we can just bridge that later on. And then I can press R and scale this to fit the reference there. There it is. And then I can shorten it a bit and further lengthen. Let's say something like that. Okay, it's fitting there. Okay, so now that I have that there, so I can carefully adjust the vertex selections. I mean the vertex or the topology, the form itself, carefully adjusting it. And now that I have this, so next thing is let's start further developing the other toes. I think this is mostly just scaling to resize it W or move tool to reposition it, a little on the scale or rotate tool there. It feels awkward if that is turning or angling like that, so let's just use it this way. Let's adjust it, edit it this way. There. So we're going for another one. So scaling again. There it is. And then pushing it back. And the last one, our scale, the toe, the pinky toe, there. So what's going to happen is what we have done before. So I'll just select all of these together. I'll do a combine, right? And then I can just switch to the polygon selection or face selection and start doing the, wait, let me just move it first. Move it a little bit there. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing now is just delete this per bridge. Select that, bridge it via edges and bridge. Q, face select, delete, edges, double click, select that loop, hold shift, select another loop and bridge. And then delete edges and that edges, bridge, Q, then faces, delete, bridges and bridge. And then, okay. So it's just like that. I can press 3 to test. So that's how they look like for now. So now we have that. We can select these edges to further adjust. There. Oops, not too much. Right, for the footing. Okay. So let's say I'm done with this. I'll save this as my toe base for the foot base file. Saving the work. Okay, so now how do I import this portion? I'll be importing this portion as an OBJ so that I will be importing the whole thing to my foot or to my base comp scene later on. Okay, so I'll see you on that lesson.